if we were standing around the LGBTQ plus water cooler, this is what we might all be talking about this week. It's sponsored by Hot Topic. Hot Topic is an American retail chain with nearly 700 locations specializing in counterculture clothing and related accessories, as well as licensed music. Hot Topic represents many varied interests of the LGBTQ plus community, including music, movies, graphic artists, gaming, and more. Apparently also games on Twitch.
Yeah.
Hot Topic features one of the largest collections of Pride merchandise that celebrates all aspects of the LGBTQ plus community. Hot Topic is a major supporter of the diversity of our community and supports many events, festivals, and nonprofit LGBTQ plus organizations. And very notable is their support of the Trevor Project, the LGBTQ plus community's most important voice for LGBTQ plus young people. And that's why they are the sponsor of It's Happening Out via Hot Topic. All right, here we go. Going all the way is definitely on the menu for gays. Sex-positive brand Lovehoney has recently conducted a poll which they found out 49% of the LGBT respondents, principally gay men, said they got down and dirty after initially meeting up with a potential romantic partner. On the flip side, 42% claimed to have kept it more chaste and said that they had not bumped uglies. I think that's what we call it.
Yes, oh my God.
Yes. Playing the long game can certainly have its perks for those 42%. As per the survey, Gen Z and boomers also appear to have more in common than you may have thought, as those aged 18 to 24, which is Cameron, and over 55, which is Al, were the least likely groups to get down to business after the first date. No, I'm not in this group.
You are not at all. You are not.
Like 3 boxes away.
Respondents, I was leading the group. I was doing a study. Respondents also shared different reasons why they were open to getting hot and heavy following a successful first date. The most popular answers were that they simply enjoy having sex. Our hot topic of the week: half of gay men are having sex on the first date, according to this new study. What do y'all think?
Apparently, I've been on more dates than I ever thought.
They call it date in French.
I mean, I'm just going to be honest. I was like, are they sure it's 49 and not 79%? Right. I mean, just because of, I guess I come from a different generation and my stereotyping, but it's interesting to hear the statistics.
Did y'all think the number was low, 49%?
Very.
I did.
Did you think
I actually thought, I don't tell me diving a little bit deeper, and the number for digging a little bit deeper. Yeah, on the first day, I did like
collapsible hands. Yes.
But the number for those who, like, it was only like 20% for those for kink capability, compatibility. And typically, it takes longer for you to truly identify if we're going to be kinky together. Yeah. So I can't put you in restraints on the first night, because a lawsuit is literally like
to happen. That looking right, with a little twinkle in his eye.
Doesn't that require a little bit more trust as well?
What's the whole conversation and negotiation?
Hook up with.
It's a lot of negotiation, and so for them to utilize that as a reason, to me, was a little off-putting. I mean, just realize that. I see you. I like your vibe. Let's get it happening. Now, my question is, if we go out to a whole
is that what
dinner,
your kids are saying these days?
We're beating the beast with 2 backs.
Yeah.
But
infant.
How do you have a 4-course dinner and then I'm trying to put myself inside you?
Oh, hello. That will not be happening. I am sorry. No, we are not doing a full course dinner, and you then gonna take me home and turn me over? No. And I used
come to life, Raji. Yes, baby. Yes.
Ralph Raji.
You triggered me just
wait.
now.
Note to self. Striking that off the list.
Done.
But I'll tell you, because my thing was, I used to think, oh my God, if I do it on the first date, they're not going to come back. And doesn't always work that
is
way.
this 1963 and
What-
June Cleaver said you're giving up the goods?
Well,
Is that what you just
That's
said?
the mentality I had, but then I learned that sometimes you could hold out and
They
you
don't come
wait
back.
a week or 2 weeks and you do it and they don't
what?
come back.
It's funny. It gives us an opportunity to talk about this. This is a cultural story for LGBT. I won't say that you meant to or you didn't mean to, but saying I'm going to hold out for
Yeah.
is a power issue. It's not a sexual issue. It's a control issue. I'm going to control you by something that has to do with sex.
Edge the relationship.
Al,
is that
what I-
something
what I
we do in
realized is
23?
that sometimes I'm just so good that whether I give it up on the first night or not, they
Such
keep
a pretty
coming
lady.
back.
You such
have
a
him
pretty
texting
lady.
the morning after,
They
thinking
keep
about you.
coming back.
Does using sex's power influence this study and the answers that I'm willing to use sex as power, so therefore I'm not going to have
I don't
sex.
think that, but I think there's two different things there, right? Because I think that there are people that do use it as power, but like Raji said, there are some people that don't do it out of shame, right? Some people hold off not because of the power dynamic, but because of their own feelings. And very often a fear factor, because even as you said, June Cleaver, that still permeates society. It's still there, right? We're a lot looser than we used to be, but it's still there that there are plenty in that the Gen Z, right? There is a new cycle that's starting, right? It's not coincidental that baby boomers and Gen Z have this unusual thing in common.
Yep.
It's because now that we have established a new normal where, like Mark Buffett, people are getting married, people are starting families. Now a younger generation is actually looking at sex differently again because the whole narrative has started changing again about what is queer relationships, what are those things? And some of them are rejecting that sort of, that old school mentality of first date, let's get down because
I'm curious to that observation and broadly. Whether we want to admit it or not, we're dramatically influenced by the straight broad community, how we've been raised, what the church says is reasonable, etc. There's this incredible double standard. I'm not saying this is a fact. I'm just expressing the possibility from discussion of an opinion. There is this incredible double standard in American society. We're puritanical. We're influenced by the church. We're influenced by a morality standard that's different than Europe and other places in the world. If you're the cheerleader and you're in 10th grade, you hold out. You do nothing. If you're the 10th grader boy, go for it. Get as many as you can.
That's right.
It's a complete double standard. Where does gay sit in the middle of that, as opposed to what we think about what girls should do and what straight boys should do? Because we think very completely different. Okay for the boys, not okay for the girls. What happens in LGBT, but specifically gay men?
That's a good.
I mean,
Wow,
I think about
wow.
when I existed in that society, right? So when you existed in that society, one of the things that I never even thought or entertained was having relations with a boy. It wasn't even a thing I thought of because where you're at, it's so taboo still. And I think that even if we have moved into like this new generation, there is still a taboo that it's gonna fall more along the lines of the cheerleader because people have an internalized shame.
Okay, and that's a response to even internal homophobia. But that's not my question. My question is, among gay men, and LGBT broadly, but gay men, our desire to have sex with other gay men, let's just say it's completely fine. We have sex. Are we the straight boy or are we the straight girl?
It's a mixed bag.
So I want to say,
Yeah.
I want to say that I think it's more the straight boy with responsibility, meaning that we're now teaching the fact that you can do that. You can love your body. You can love expressing the feeling of touch, but do it responsibly if need be. And if not, here are the precautions that you need to take in order to protect yourself and always think that way. So I think we're a person a human who needs to be touched and loved on. And so we encourage that within our community. Sometimes we go a little bit too far down a rabbit hole, but that's something I would say definitely that teenage boy side.
So to that point, does it surprise us that nearly half of all LGBT, and again, principally this study is mostly gay men,
Yes.
half of gay men are saying, no, I don't have sex.
Here's my next point, though. These are specifically about dates. not just general hookups. So at that point, that's where we have to kind of
Wait,
draw the
what
line.
does that
I like
mean?
that.
What's the
Right,
difference?
that's a difference.
Because, you know, you go on
is a-
Scruff, you go on Grindr, you can look for dates or you can look for hookups. And I think sometimes we kind of misconstrue the two.
Why is a hookup not a first date?
Why is it not a first date?
You're,
in this-
you're meeting. You and I meet each
You
other
wish.
on Grindr, right, and vice versa too, by the way.
And bam.
Exactly. And for many reasons. And we get together and we hook up based on our meeting in Grindr. That's still a first date. And all I'm doing is I'm taking the drink at the bar, or I'm taking the dinner at Applebee's out of it.
But see, that's
all.
the issue
Right.
that I was having with the survey, though, is because terminology matters, and unfortunately, because terminology in the queer world is different than the straight world. So this group that was doing the survey, right? If they didn't ask the question in a particular way, where a lot of queer society does look at a hookup world and a date world as two different things.
Let's
that's gonna
assume, okay,
But the
granted.
methodology of this particular study was it excluded the hookups, the grinder meter. So it's intentionally, I think, focusing on the dinner at Applebee's.
Okay.
But look how long it took us to get there.
Or the meat, like the meat that we see each other, you know, we meet, we have a drink, we do whatever, because that was still part of the conversation, and that's still intentionally you go into the game that morning, that when you get ready, whatever it is that you're going to do, what's going to happen, if this goes well. If it doesn't go well, then we go on separate cards. But if it does go well, I'm closing the deal. I'm closing the deal.
Truth be told, like some of my hookups, I don't know if I'd really want to go out on a date with them. I mean, you know, I do think it's a distinctive difference in our
Would it
community.
be bad of me to give elimination bus fare from me now and say thank you very much?
The bus still running?
Okay, people call Ubers for him. He doesn't ride the bus.
That's right.
So the last 2 weeks, there's been love here. Clearly, the divorce has happened, and I love it.
Oh my God, who gets custody of me?
I will.
I hate you, Dibs.
Okay, cool.
All
Go
right,
ahead.
the white boy at the table gets you. All right.
The whiter,
The whiter boy. Exactly.
Usually.
All right,
Usually.
Oh my! All right, last question related to this. This roughly 50-50 split that the study identifies with. Let's grant the issue that most of the respondents are thinking about a dating situation. We have drinks, we have dinner, we get in bed.
We have drinks.
Half are doing that, and then we have more drinks. And with John, he has all drinks and then passes out and doesn't get into bed. Is this good for us? Do we think that this is healthy results, or do we think that this is not healthy for our community?
Yeah.
What does sure mean?
Every person has their own individual aspects of what can be, romantic, what can be sexual, where they can lie in that romance. Because now we're also talking about, aro ace people. So they're part of the community as well. They don't want to have sex on the first, or frankly the fifth, or maybe the 10th date. So we have to remember there is more to the LGBTQ plus
Okay, interesting point that I didn't consider. But let's broaden the conversation. Is the broad results of this report good for the community? Half of the community is saying no problem. Half of the community is saying no, thank you, not yet.
So they don't live in what man is clearly, and so I think that, and to answer your question, I don't think it's good because I'm not really sure how truthful they were. 53% that say yeah, they enjoy the sex.
Now we're getting to where I'm exploring.
And
Are
yes.
people telling the truth
No,
in this?
because the numbers were 2, and 49% say yeah, they do it on the first night. But then they went down a little bit deeper, and then 53% said they do it because they enjoy the sex. So I think there's a larger number of folks who, depending on the question that was asked, they segregated the data.
Do you all agree with elimination?
I do, but I
substitution?
think the healthiness of it, though, right? Because that's very often. So me and my husband talk about this a lot of times in his field. That sex is a very intimate thing, and we are kind of caught between a rock and a hard place, right? Because we have what society says you should feel about sex, and then what you feel for sex. And I think that within our community specifically, it is at least a bit more sex positive and a little bit more healthy. I'm going to say the healthiest. That it's not something that alarms me, right? It's not like I see it and I'm like, oh my gosh, that's too many people. But it does lead into further conversations about what does sex mean to you, right? Because there's sex and then what it means to you. what it means to that further relationship, or if it means you even explore deeper with a person. So there's a lot of unexplored areas to that.
I want to finish the segment by just playing a game. I haven't done this in a while. Let's play a flash poll. We haven't played a flash poll at It's Happening Out in a while. I'm going to ask you a question. The only thing I want you to hear is no, or answer is no explanation, yes or no. Everybody agree?
Yes.
That's our flash poll. All right.
Yes.
For you, with no exceptions, whether you're in a relationship, not relationship, that is not important in our flash poll. Would you have sex on your first date? Would you? Yes or no?
Yes.
Would
Yes.
you? Yes or no?
Yes.
No.
Oh, absolutely.
All right. So it's interesting.
Pause.
How about
Yeah,
you?
wait a minute, Al.
We all know the answer, but we want to hear
Okay,
it.
I didn't want to hear it. Yeah,
And,
put it on
and
the
it's
record.
interesting. We end the flash poll of going, gosh, we really suspect that 49% is not the right number. And perhaps we've come to one of the conclusions of we question the truthfulness of the participants in the survey. It's
Definitely.
very interesting, an interesting issue in terms of sex in the LGBTQ community. All right. LGBTQ plus news is vital for our community and for the broader world as a whole. We have enough enemies at Fox News. Tucker, Sean, and Laura are loud. We need passionate allies. Happening Out Television Network, Queer News Tonight, and It's Happening Out are literally out of the closet and into the headlines. Our community needs your support. Like this broadcast and subscribe now to ensure the growth of the entire LGBTQ plus community.